Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. You know, I got to confess to you, I took last week off, and I have a little bit of what's called a vacation hangover. Yeah. Well, now that doesn't mean I was up drinking or anything like that, or, doing recreational drugs or anything stupid like that. No, it's just that condition you have when you finally take some time off and you get an opportunity to just kind of decompress and you know how it goes. It takes you a day or two to get to that point where you kind of, have stepped away from all the things that keep you leashed in life. And then once you get there, you kind of just go, and you start enjoying your time away. Well, that vacation hangover kicks in when you finally, fly back to your where you live, and your wife picks you up at the airport, and you go out and have a nice dinner, and you finally get home and you get to sleep in your own bed, only to wake up and realize, oh my goodness, life has come back to visit me. And that's kind of where I'm at today. So fortunately for me, I have a great guest today. I've got somebody that's going to help me through this. And, what's really interesting about my guest is I got to know her about 3 years ago when I first became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited. And I had an opportunity to go to an event where I got to meet her. And, I didn't know who she was or what her background was or anything like that. But what I found very interesting about my guest was I was able to just start a conversation with her, and that conversation just flourished. And from that point forward, I just knew that, my guest today was going to be somebody that was going to be able to influence me as I continued my path in real estate and investing. And along the way, my guest has had the ability to influence a lot of people. You see, she actually is the vice president for operations within the Lifestyles Unlimited community. And, that particular position has a lot of responsibility because she is on the leading edge of helping our members to, especially in the multifamily space, to do the things that they need to do, and she provides advice and guidance on what they need to do to move forward so that they have a very successful investing experience. But that's not what I want to talk to her about today. What I want to talk to her about today is her actual journey, her own journey of investing in real estate. And we're going to get into it today with Teri. So with no further ado, let me bring Teri on. Teri, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello, Al. How are you doing today?
Oh, man. I'm actually doing pretty good. I'm still a little foggy and everything. But other than that, I know you're going to help get me through today's show, and we're just going to have a blast doing it.
Oh, well, that's good. And I appreciate the kind words. I hope I can live up to them. We here work really hard to help our members, and that's what really drives us going forward is most of us don't have to work. We do it because we enjoy and love what we do. So you end up giving the best of what you have to the members, and that's what we strive to do every day. But, yeah, it's been a big journey for me, and do you want me to just start off and kind of give a little background and
yeah, let's get to know you a little bit. Let's let everybody know you the way I know you. So give us some of that background. I mean, who are you? What brought you to Lifestyles Unlimited? What was your investing game plan, long back in the day when, you and I were doing the things that society told us to do?
Yeah, well, we had went to work for a company and thought you would grow with it and retire with it, and we find that doesn't work, especially in the industry, in the apartment industry. I grew up professionally wise in the multifamily industry. started in the early 80s. I'd like to say I was probably about 2 years old, but you know how that goes. And worked, 81 is when I started in the business, and I started as a leasing consultant. And over the years, I had worked myself up through the ranks of learning the on-site property and how to manage teams. And over the years, I've had properties, from 100 units to up to 1,000 units, and staffs of as many as 2 to 20. And that was a great business, and it was a great business for my family and I. And the mindset back then was, you buy a house, you pay it off, you put that money in the 401k. I worked for companies that had 401ks and matching 401ks, and I worked for companies that had stock options, when they were publicly traded companies. And that's how I was growing my wealth, paying for my kids to go to college, setting that money aside for retirement. And then, things change in the multifamily industry. Nobody owns a property forever. That's real estate that is bought and sold over and over the years, depending on the investment strategies. And your jobs, can sometimes not be real stable. You may work on one property, work for 2 or 3 different companies during the course of the time. And that's really tough to explain to a mortgage company. They don't quite understand you're really not job hopping. It's the industry hopping. So I had worked for a large real estate investment company up until September 30th of 2010. And I sold the last property in the Dallas area, and I shut the lights out, handed over the last set of keys, and I took my little compensation package and went on down the road, and I took a year and a week off. And it took me about 6 months to decompress. And then I had an opportunity. Fate takes us down a road. I truly believe this in life, and thank God it did. And one of my prior coworkers worked for a company called Lifestyles Unlimited in Houston and was their operational consultant and the vice president of the operation consultants at that time, and had reached out to me looking for someone to take the operational consultant position in the Dallas office. And I looked at the job description, and I thought, this sounds like fun. I want to do that. So I had the opportunity to interview, and I got hired in October 7th of 2011. And that is the day that truly changed my life. I have to say that, because I had...
Hold that thought, Terry. We're actually getting ready to go to break. When we come back, I want to get back into this story, and we'll be back right after this.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now, let's get back to your map to financial freedom.
Welcome back to the show. Today is just a really cool day for me. Not only do I have the opportunity to be back on the radio live with you, helping you understand how real estate can change your life. It can absolutely change your future. You can totally, literally with real estate, you can, effective today, start down a different path for whatever it is you're trying to achieve in life. And, I thought it was real interesting when I was talking to Teri in the last segment, and we're going to talk to her in a moment, but she was commenting that as somebody that worked in the real estate industry, was operating and managing teams and taking care of, big apartment communities for whoever she worked for, they in turn were compensating her not with real estate, the industry that she works in. They were compensating her with all the stuff that you and I were told along the way in our journey in life that we had to put our money into, because that was the secret to retirement. Throw money in the stock options, throw money in the 401k. And, I found that so absolutely ironic. Teri, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, one, now, the more I think about it, the madder I get to think of all the years that I was very good at what I do and how much money I made for those folks compared to what they compensated the teams for. I think it's what we call somewhat the golden handcuff. Every company, every position, every pay scale to a certain extent, has those golden handcuffs. They give you the shares that you'd have to vest in. You need to work another year to get a third of them, and then another year you get 2/3. And, it's always the golden handcuffs so that you're committed to staying there. And the compensation that they give the teams on the property really is not reflective of what they do and how much of themselves that they put in it. So it just kind of makes you crazy. Once you get on this side of the fence, it really changes your perspective. And I'm such a proponent of pay people well. Pay them well for their skill set, train them well, motivate them well, enrich them well. And the biggest thing that an employer could do now is, especially for our members that are dealing in this real estate, is to teach their employees how to do this. Because this real estate is, I was watching one of those news channels this morning, and this lady was talking about the stock market, and she goes, you really have to be diligent to find those stocks. If you're getting 0, find those stocks that are paying 3% and 4% and 5%. That's really good. And I'm screaming at the TV, buy real estate, buy real estate. You're missing the next step. So I think a lot of it is they don't teach us what they do to keep us in those positions. And, they're looking out for their shareholders. If they're, real estate investment trusts, they're looking out for their shareholders. If they're working for an owner, they're looking out for the owner, and that is their responsibility. And if they can get people to work less and work harder for less, then they feel like they're accomplishing something. I don't. I think that's very counterproductive to the people and the long-term relationships you need to build. So, they're keeping the man down. What can I say? In my opinion. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So along the way, you figured out that you wanted to be in the ownership side of real estate. You wanted to invest in real estate. How did you transition into that? What was the path going forward for you?
Well, fortunately, even though it wasn't as much as it could have been with those stock options I had bought and all of that, I was able to cash that stuff in. And when I came to work for Lifestyle, they taught me how to work on the other side of the fence. I came into work at, like I said, October of 2011, and by March of 2012, I was investing as a passive investor in multifamily investment in just syndication. And because I had the education, just because I worked on property didn't mean I know anything about investing. I knew properties, I knew numbers, I knew markets. But when it came to the financing and you're buying shares into an investment, that was totally a foreign beast to me. So thank goodness I had the ability to have the education through Lifestyles, and they showed me how it's done, how to analyze the properties, and they took the education I had and helped expand it. That's what we find with a lot of our members is they come in the door with life experiences, careers that have a lot of experience, and we're able to help them take our education and expand their knowledge to invest in the type of deals they're looking for. So luckily I had some money and I started investing in multifamily deals. And then I decided one day that I would start taking some of these single-family classes because I do mentor and consult with people on landlord-tenant issues, and they're no different between single-family and multifamily. It's the same set of issues you run across and the same court systems and the way you have to do things through them. It's no different. So I decided to look into the single family, and I sat down with one of the single family mentors and took a consultation, just like all of our members do. The same with my multifamily. I did that as well and went through the education and started buying some single family. They're kind of like, investing is like potato chips. You know how it is, Al. Once you have one, you want another, you want another.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I can't sell the kids to get more money, so maybe they don't need that motorcycle or baby doesn't need a new bike. She's already got one, But you start looking at ways to find this money. I ended up buying 7 doors of single family that I own and manage myself. I have over 750 doors of multifamily investing that I invest as a passive. And I'm really a good passive. I watch my reports. I try to stay out of their way. I know enough to be dangerous and to be I could be a pain in the neck, and I don't want to be. So I stay in my role as a passive, which is important. And then I use my expertise and my skill on my properties that I bought and manage. And then, what hit? COVID. And what do I decide to do? Buy a multifamily property. So we started looking in March because that's the natural progression in our world. A lot of us do this. And I decided, I needed to get up in the big boy world and start looking at doing some multifamily deals so I could grow my wealth faster in conjunction with all my other investments. So started looking early March. And then, COVID hit mid-March. Everybody took a step back, and we were sure that this deal was dead. It's a 12-unit in Grand Prairie, Texas. And, because we saw the lenders going nuts on the big deals, and we saw people just, the sky is falling. And we took the approach, let's take a breath. Let's take a breath and just step back and see what happens and then regroup. And we did. And out of the blue, the lender comes back wanting to know if we want to go ahead with the loan. And the seller came back wanting to know if we wanted to move forward, and we did. Now, it took a little longer, probably, just with some things that were going on, but overall, real estate is not slowing down, and we decided not to either.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. It's just amazing that, COVID hit and everybody thought, the sky is falling, but, all the investors that we know said, there's blood in the water. Let's get moving. We come back from the break. We're going to get into this 12-unit deal with Teri right after this.
Warning, listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
Welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, you're in for a treat because I have Teri on with me. Now, Teri is the vice president for operations at Lifestyles Unlimited, which really, the takeaway from that is this. She knows way more about how to operate multifamily properties. I mean, you put a 500 unit in front of her, not a problem. You put 1,000 unit in front of her, not a problem. You give her a team of 20 people to manage, not a problem. But along the way, she decided that she wanted to invest in real estate. And I'll tell you what, you would think that somebody that has all this institutional knowledge should just be able to walk right into the investing mode and be able to identify property, be able to, determine whether or not property was viable for their strategic goals and objectives and things like that. But you know what? There are two sides to real estate. I mean, there's that operational side, but then there's the complete ownership side. And when Teri came to Lifestyles Unlimited, she realized very quickly that there was a lot to learn on the ownership side. And she went to work learning those things and was able to build up a small portfolio of 7 single-family homes. She also invested passively in about 750 doors of multifamily apartment communities. But you know what? She wanted more. She wanted to do even better. So along the way, right around when COVID-19 started, she decided that she was going to buy a 12-unit apartment community. Teri, what's wrong with this picture?
Most people look at that and they go, during all of this, you're absolutely crazy. Nobody's paying rent. And that's not true. The thing that we found is that some of the institutional money, the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they were going nuts on some of the requirements they had. But we used a small lender. We used a local bank who was willing to give us some better terms and the things that we needed for our loan. So I think the whole industry as a whole just kind of went, oh, my gosh, it's the sky has fallen. And we found out not only was it not true, but we found out it wasn't true with our members, with Lifestyles Unlimited members, because we had taught them best product, best price, and that's what I do as well, and how to qualify your residents. And we found out that people as a whole were doing quite well. And we saw, and Dell came back, and we had, staff meetings and get-togethers, and, he said, now is the time to buy. And I tell you, when that man says time to buy, I listen, because he's made a lot of people a lot of money over the years, especially even during 2008 when the downturn was. He told people to buy when things are low. Yes, buy when the prices are going up. You're still going to make money. Follow the model. And that was the big thing, like you were talking about. I can run a property all day long with my eyes closed. That's easy. The other side of the equation, I had no experience on, the financing. Finding the property, evaluating it. I've always been handed properties to manage after the fact. I've helped on the process of selling them, but that's still just a small window of what is truly involved. We were always cushioned or, removed from that process, so you don't get that experience, and I needed that. I could take what skills I had, and I could come to Lifestyles Unlimited, and I learned from them how to buy them. Yeah, you can buy them all day, but you have to buy them right. Our model is very specific on how you do this. And once you learn the model, you can take and apply it to every piece of real estate, whether it's single family or multifamily, because, you can go out there and buy, and you can go out and overpay. As long as the numbers make right, that's the beauty of what we teach, is that you can find the right deals to fit the model and get the passive income you want. So that's what I did. I applied it to my single family, and I applied it towards this 12 units that we bought. And, we're taking this little 12 units on a journey of its own. Our goal is, over the next 12 months, we'll rehab the interior of every unit. And it's been an interesting journey, because we bought this property from an owner that had it for 8 years and pretty much just let it run with no upgrades, no nothing. He had a very poor, and I'm being very kind to say that, third-party management. I've seen some really bad stuff over the years, because I've done this for almost 40 years, and I think I've seen a lot of different kinds of owners and management, but this one really took the cake. And, when we bought the property, the first thing they ask is, do I have to deal with this manager, this supervisor, or this maintenance person? And I told them no, and they said, great, we're so excited. Something's going to be done. And, it's been a journey just to see the things that they don't have that should be there. We talk about, we do a light run. Before I bought the property, I drove by at night so I could do a light run. Well, out of about 8 lights, 1 worked, so it was truly a light run.
Wow.
So the first thing we did, when we bought the property, was put exterior lighting on it. As one of our mentors says, light it up like a runway. And we did. And we put lighting on the parking lot, and guess what? All of the partying in the parking lot and the hanging around activity disappeared. We put lights in the corners that are back that were dark, and I consider them a liability. And we'd go back, and when it was dark, it was full of trash. Now we go back to the property, and people are taking a pride in their home again because someone else is. And we're putting in a laundry room that they haven't had in 2 years. Just basic. Doing maintenance that doesn't have to be fixed 5 times because you didn't do it right the first 4 times. And, treating people with dignity and respect. So that has really been a turnaround for the property. And, the plan is, like I said, to rehab each unit one at a time. Well, the problem is I can't get people to move. They want to stay because they know we're upgrading it. So what we're doing is, as their leases are expiring, we're giving them a 60-day notice to move, and they're electing to put their stuff in storage and to be out of there for 2 weeks so we can rehab it. And then they're requalifying, and we're taking the rent up from, say, $700 up to $950 plus utilities, and they're not even blinking an eye. They're coming back, and they want to stay. So that says a lot. People will pay for a good product with good, with good management, best product, best price. And that's what we're doing because we're looking at what the competitors are doing in the market, and we can do that. And it's really sad to say in a funny sort of way, but our 3-year pro forma income is going to probably hit around year 1.5.
That's exceptional.
We're really, because by August 31st is my last unit to move out of next year. So by mid-September, we'll be 100% renovated inside and out. And we'll be getting, and we'll still be pushing rents depending on what the market is. So that will set us up into a really good position to do a refi cash out, tax-free, woo-woo. And then we'll take that money and we'll go look for another deal like that. And by then, once we do the first unit and rehab it, we'll have our template set up as to the interiors, the scope of work, and it's just blow and go after that. So the next property we buy, we'll take that same theme onto the next property, and our goal would be to stay in that area, to do the economies of scale so it makes sense that we can manage it close and we can make sure we're providing the good maintenance and service, and that it will give us the economy of scale for our landscapers and other services that we have as well. And that's really, a good business model to follow. So, that's the goal when we grow up, is to continue to grow and self-manage, and we get big enough that we can just sit back and relax.
Yeah, I think you're onto something here, Teri. I mean, I think you're on to the road to, full retirement. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about what retirement means to Teri right after this.
One of the things I'd like to get across is that your whole life you wanted to make a change, right? But you've never had the time? This might be it, because we have online education that you can get involved in.
We're now going to bring the free workshop to the entire country and really the world. Anybody who is interested can participate in that. We're going to live stream that free workshop and have people online with you on the live stream, talking with you, answering questions, interacting. You're really going to get a great feel for the Lifestyles community from this. And you can register for that. So if you want to find out about us, this is a great way to take a look at us and what we do.
Lifestyles Unlimited has been helping people succeed since 1990. Join us for our free online real estate workshop and learn the 7 principles we teach to run our businesses and provide for our families. Register at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com. That's lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. It's time to turn up the volume and fine-tune your passive income plan so you can create the lifestyle you've always wanted.
Welcome back to the show. So, Teri, I've got to ask, you spent a very big portion of your life involved in the real estate industry, and then along the way, you decided, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to regroup, and maybe I'm going to get involved with the ownership side. And you did that. So what does it feel like to be in control of your retirement destiny?
Oh, that's powerful. Before I could see me and my husband working many, many long years and really going to have to be very frugal in our retirement years. But, things are changing. Retirement is different for people. But it's made a huge difference. For example, my husband was laid off last year, in August of last year, with his company that downsized and things. And the power of what we have now is he never has to work another day in his life because of our investments. And it's his option if he wants to be retired or not. And that's the power of what we do, is having the option. Like I said, most of us don't work because we have to. We do it because we're passionate about it. And one of the things is the personality trait, any type of service industry. The apartment industry, being an owner, working in the restaurant, hotel industry. These are service service-oriented businesses. And I've always been taught this, and I truly believe that anytime when you're in a service business, that's very noble. Not that I'm a noble person, but I understand the concept because we want to help people. And I can see that I would probably have trouble retiring, actually, as in quit working. But I can see that I can do this on a beach with my laptop and a phone somewhere, no problem. And that's what we have the option to do, is the power to do what we do, is because we've worked hard to do that. We've been able to incorporate it into our personal and our work, and we can take this anywhere and do it anywhere. We have members that do it anywhere. They can buy properties, they live in Minnesota and buy properties in Arizona or different places. And it gives you the power to have the option. And if the option is that you love what you do and you don't feel like you work a day, which I don't. I don't work a day in my life except on my property, really, and that's minimal because I've listened to what Dell's taught. But it gives me the option to say, when do I want to quit, or when do I want to do it? And I don't see that coming any day soon for me. I just see this as a business that continues to grow, and it continues to stimulate me and change, and I'm learning every day. And I get my energy from people. And, I love doing the consultations and getting to know people. So if the power is the option, if you love what you do, keep doing it. If you don't, then use this as a tool to do what you want to do. Maybe you have that, that favorite charity you want to work for, or you have the family that you need to have that time to be the caregiver or to help out. But real estate is powerful, and I think that's one of the things why they didn't teach this to us on site, because it would give us the power to quit working for them and working for ourselves. And, the best thing we can do in life is to teach our children this as well. J.B. Durham calls this generational wealth, and I love that term because I believe it truly, that we listen to what our parents taught us, 401k, stocks and bonds, get the gold watch after 25, 30 years, and that doesn't work anymore. We see that. So you teach your children to do this so that they're in better shape at a younger age than a lot of us were when we started doing this. I wish, I was talking to a gentleman the other day who's like 26 years old doing a consultation, and I was envious because I wish at 26 years of age I had known this. And, it's just, and I see people who have experienced it with their families, and they've seen their grandparents and parents do it, and they didn't want to do it. And and then now they're coming back to us on, boy, we were silly, we should have listened. But, yeah, it's a very powerful thing to have those options in your pocket. And real estate will give you that. It really will. And, I don't spend that much time on my properties. Al and I were talking before, with my single-family properties, the most time I spend is if somebody moves out. When it comes to doing the service, I don't go over and plunge a toilet. I have a plumber. I make a phone call. The same thing with my 12-unit apartment community. If I spend 2 hours a week right now working on that deal, it's a lot. And that may be, gap time between emails or phone calls, but it will ramp up during the rehab because I do have to go inspect what's going on, and we're going to have some unit turns. But once that property is operating, they're pretty much hands-free. So it gives us the time and the ability to go look for something else to see what we can get in trouble with and have some fun with and bring another, property that has been unloved back to its glory, because that's fun to watch, to see them blossom again and become a community the way they should. It's a lot of fun, very rewarding business. Glad
I agree with you 100%. Let me switch gears on you, though. Talk to me about what real estate is able to do for you and your family in the form of legacy.
Oh, well, I've set up a trust, and I'm going to put all my real estate and everything into that so they have it when we go. So that is a continued legacy for them. I have a 1-year-old granddaughter that I plan on indoctrinating her as much as possible, as soon as her parents will let go of her, and I can get my hands on her more. But that's something I want to show them, so that they never have to worry again. I have two grown children that see me doing this, and they, it's like a lot of us have family members that kind of look at us like we grew a horn, when we go to a real estate club, and they think we're Amway or some type of pyramid scheme, and we're not. But it's teaching them that there's a different way, and they all see it, and they're all growing their income so they can start investing as well. So, and then it's just second nature. If they're doing it, my granddaughter will see it, and she'll do it, and it will just, because I really feel that down the road there's not going to be a lot of these venues available to people for retirement. I think a lot of that stuff may disappear, change, not be as productive as they think it is, because we know it's not. But I think a lot of people are changing their concepts on this and understanding that really this is much more stable, and it's a great business, and it's a great legacy to hand to our kids and our grandkids so that they can be financially free. Whether they go to college or not, it's not, not everybody goes to college anymore. It's not for everybody. And we don't want, if my granddaughter does want to go to college, I'd hope, the goal is that she's investing. By the time she gets to college, she could have a place to live that's free, and income coming in, and her college paid for, if that's what she wants to do. If not, she can learn how to be a real estate entrepreneur and retire or never go to work, if that's the way she wants to look at it. And that's the legacy I want to give them, is having the options as well and the ability to do it. Because, it's so nice to go to your employer from a place of power. Do I need this job? Do I want to work these many hours? I think it really is empowering for people to have that place of power, that they're not under somebody's thumb and at the mercy of how somebody's opinion of that day of them is. So I think that really just empowers everybody down the line.
Yeah, I think you hit on a very interesting point. I think there's a lot of folks that are putting money into, well, I'll just call them savings accounts, but you might call them a 401k or an IRA or things like that. And they keep injecting money in there, and they're hoping that whatever they're investing in those accounts is going to go up in value, so that they're going to get to a point in their life where they will stop working and they'll start drawing that money down. And when it's time for them to pass away, whatever's left in those accounts goes to their heirs. But what you're doing is completely different. What you're doing is you're buying assets that pay you 5 different ways. And when it's time for you to go away, you're going to pass those assets on to your heirs, and they're going to still continue to pay 5 different ways.
That's right. And everybody uses different vehicles to do it, but, you always look for something that is the most beneficial, less stressful, because it's not a good time of life for that to be happening anyway, but setting the affairs up ahead of time. That's really crucial. We're really starting to press that point to a lot of our members, because, we're all aging out, hate to say it, and a lot of us have, some folks have been investing with us for 20 and 30 years, because we've been around 30 years, and we have to look at the next generation of taking over and getting ready for that. So I think it's important that everybody have those critical conversations with people, with their families. If you're invested as a passive, you need to let them know where you've invested, with who, how it affects them. If you're a lead investor with, that you've sponsored a deal and you have these passives, what happens to pass the torch for those deals to continue? So we're all looking for the future, and no matter which way you're investing or what direction, look for the future on how to make sure it goes to the next group too.
Absolutely spot on, Teri. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your not so busy schedule to spend some time with us and to help us to learn that no matter where you're at, you can start today by changing your future. And remember, it's not the money, it's the lifestyle.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.